Sockleton, we need to talk about your interviews. I need I need you to ask the players why everyone's going for industry wing and castle and losing. It's always industry into loss, industry into defeat, industry into surrender. And VortiX, he's got AU bids. So maybe today we get to learn a little bit more about that if VortiX goes for the industry wing.
I didn't want to push the loss. I don't like pushing losses on players who just won. Nothing's more lame in my opinion than like, hey, congratulations on a series win. Now about that loss of yours, we need to talk about that.
It's an important question. Why is everyone going for the industry wing? There's a lot of questions here.
Whammon. You live with Beastie. He could answer this for you. He surely must know. You could just ask him. I could ask my wife. She'll ask me. If I ask my wife about it, you know what she'll say? She'll be like, Sockton, what the heck is industry wing? Like, you've got... Anyways, let's take a look at our brackets here, where we stand right now. We've got, of course, one more to go. We're in VortiX and Wham is what we'll be casting here in just a second. But looks like Puppy Paw and Anatan have moved on to the semifinals, of course. BC and Balltoon is also on the docket, but we've got VortiX and Wham coming up, and I'm excited for that one. And we've got, of course, looking to see who's going to get the final later this weekend. You'll have to tune in tomorrow if you want to find out how this part of the bracket finishes up. Of course, we got some more weeks coming after that. But, oh gosh, there's my wife saying right now, what is the industry wing? Oh, called it. We dive in to our number one game here against Wham versus VortiX. Wham in the purple as Byzantines, VortiX in the red as Holy Roman Empire. Looks like we're on Bald Land, and it looks like we're going to get another Hippodrome play as we have a mill on the berries to start out for Wham.
But VortiX is aware, and we're seeing a little bit of HRE airtime on this map, though. And I'm kind of excited to see what that means. He might not go Hippodrome, though. Right? When you see the mill, it usually means that, but when you know your opponent is very prone to rushing, you want to deplete the berries anyway. Now, I do see, oh my goodness, look at that spawn behind it. I want us to quickly take a look at the Byzantine space with the double berries and the 2 golds. Now, imagine, a life, but VortiX won't allow that. VortiX is too good to allow something like this. So he might punish these berries, and we can see Wham was aware of this. He knew that something was coming, and he went on the outside berries first. So the spear will be landing, but he will not be landing exactly as hard as he wanted. So even if he does get a little bit of damage here... Ooh, wait. We're doing a lot of damage there. That feels pretty good. So with all of this, we have a lot of pressure from VortiX. Even if it's just 2 spears investment, it is already something good to have, because you're forcing Byzantines to react suboptimally. And now, with him going for those outside berries, he's got safe berries right at the back there. Wham reading his opponent perfectly and understanding exactly how to react. Absolutely impressed with Wham already. I'm excited for this now. I thought VortiX was going to be a little bit too aggressive for Wham to handle, but already Wham knows what he was prepared for. He knew what was coming this series.
That's the fun part about these quarterfinals. Once we start getting kind of the creme de la creme in these matchups, we start seeing some really high level play, and we're seeing it right here. And it is going to be that Hippodrome, so the theory of mine that every time you see a mill, that holds true again once more. Going to be an aggressive play from Wham, but the spears, they've done some damage. They've gotten some work in, but maybe not quite enough. I'm sure VortiX would have liked a little bit more. Regardless, though, we'll be moving into H2. I'm curious what VortiX opts for. He's got to be just going for the Aachen Chapel, right? Is there any world where you think he goes mine work here?
Yes, a lot of people go for mine work.
Yeah, I just feel like Aachen's still so good.
Yeah, there we go.
And it's mine work. There it is. Okay, yeah. I was wondering. I was kind of, it was coin flip in my mind. I was like, Aachen works here, but with the sparse wood, like maybe the mine work. I mean, it's such a typical follow up after going Dark Age with spears. All right, mine work it is, and into Hippodrome. So should be a fun aggressive match on our hands then.
Now, getting into a position where you have mine work as well, that's great, because you're getting those special upgrades on your units too. Now, that's what I love about this. The fact that HRE, they have prelates, right? And now, when things get a little later, you also get mini arcane chapels all around. That's the beauty of the mine work now. There is a little bit of play around you usually having unlimited access to or now that you have unlimited access to chapels, it does feel a lot better. Now that prelate is going to need to spread around, and we might get a second one out there too. But at this point, it just feels very good for someone to be able to get those unique upgrades in there too. Now the spears here, they've definitely done the work. They've denied a lot of gold. There's not going to be no shenanigans with upgrades or anything like that. And it also forced Byzantines to not be able to invest in more cisterns. And that's exactly what happened here. We have one cistern, and that's it. It's going to be the only one for a while until he builds enough buildings to go around. Because right now we see 60 stone. Every single building he builds, it's going to eventually add up to that. But a mercenary house comes up next. Because, of course, when you go for the berries, you get access to as much as you can. And Royal Knights being there in the markets could be quite spicy.
Is that worth it is the question. I mean, Royal Knights, we've seen players do that before. We've seen players take the Royal Knights and run with it. I think longbows would be really good here, though, as well.
Now, with all of this, we have horses on the field, of course. With Byzantines now, you want to make sure that you are out on the map and forcing VortiX to react to this. You want him to make more spears so that you get that bit of breathing room. Now, Wham has not committed just yet to a group of mercenaries. And VortiX, on the other hand, he is building a little bit of every production building he can. Now getting his own horse. Oh, not his own horse. He's just getting pro scouts, ladies and gentlemen. HRE with the pro scouts. He wants to get the food back to base, and he wants it now. Now, longbows is going to be the choice of units. And this is going to mean that eventually, in the right amount of numbers, VortiX is going to need to be super careful.
Yeah, going pro scouts against Byzantine Hippodrome feels... I won't say gutsy, but maybe a little brave. Wham clearly already has a presence on the map. He's got his horseman with the scout running around, taking a look. So VortiX is going to be kind of hard-pressed to really keep those scouts alive. He does have some spears of his own, which we're seeing chase away the horseman and scout from Wham. But again, Wham's got a really nice 1-1-1 triple comp here. He's got some Limatine. He's got his horseman from the Hippodrome, and he's also got those longbows coming in. So he's going to have the ability to kind of push and pull in any which direction he wants. And with that triple combination, the only way to match that is really to do one of your own, which isn't always easy.
Now, Wham has spotted that double berry pack, and he's forming his thoughts around it. As we can see with that wall, he knows the Wham wall is going to be necessary. And I love that term. I remember seeing Wham walling pretty early on and coined that term right after, because this man... he walls very willingly and doesn't mind spending that little bit of wood to make sure that his eco is safe. It's been working for him because, of course, we know Wham. He's at the top of his game. For most tournaments, he ends up in the top 8. He never falls back down too hard and always makes his way back up. So with this, he knows how it works, and he is definitely feeling confident about getting that double berry at the back. That's just going to mean a lot more longbows.
I like these walls. And walling in general, some people really hate dealing with walls, which makes sense. But walls can be just annoying to your opponent. And when you have the extra wood and you can invest in it, being annoying and slowing things down is always such a good idea. As we see now, Pro Scouts getting slowed down. This is exactly what I was worried about for VortiX. Wham has a pretty good military presence on the field. It's 12 to 14 as far as military numbers go. But not going to be super easy for VortiX to get those venison back home.
Now, the issue I have here is the fact that we only have one prelate. So this prelate is now going to be the man who's inspiring a handful of vills, and the rest of them are going to be just normal villagers. It's not the HRE powerhouse that we're used to. But this just shows us he's using every bit of gold he has into upgrades. He knows that those might just be the most important here. Now, the rest of these scouts, they do need to bring back some deer. And luckily the deer are pretty well spread around the map. So him sending 2 to the top makes a lot of sense, while the others are staying close to base. Because Wham cannot be anywhere or everywhere. He has a pretty immobile army for most of it, especially considering you want to keep those longbows safe.
Engagement here, archers versus longbows. There's a little bit more archers than longbows, but they do have longer range. They can kite just a little more effectively. And the horsemen right there on top of them too. We have back and forth again. We got 1-1-1 comps from both. So lots of cat and mouse to be had here. Archers forcing back though. The longbows, just that little extra range sometimes can go a really long way. As we see a couple archers are going to fall here because of that.
And this is massive, actually. Just picking off a bunch of these longbows is insane, because you finding access to those again is going to be so hard, especially with the winery. You just don't scale the same way into castle. And these archers, they are easily replaceable for VortiX. And that's exactly what he just did now. He destroyed most of these longbows. That first pack of longbows does not exist anymore. And this just means that VortiX is in a pretty good spot to start pushing.
Yeah, that was not a good engagement from Wham whatsoever. I really was hoping those longbows would focus down those archers. A lot of them really weak, but as long as they're alive, they hit just the same. So the damage of a 3 HP archer is the same as the damage of a 100% archer, right? So both do the same damage, and that's all that mattered here. The numbers in favor of VortiX now, regardless of the fact that some of those are just, you know, a stiff breeze from toppling over. But man, getting rid of those longbows, like you said, they take forever to replace.
Now, with this little bit of a push, he's looking right at that wall, and Wham knows, I'm not going to do anything just sending my units back, but I will do something if I launch an attack. He has a perfect surround, and 3 villagers are very much trapped here. The spear coming in, trying to make this fight a little bit more to his side, but very quickly gets deleted. An archer gets deleted here as well. And we can see Triumph getting activated here. The archers now going straight for the longbows. They know what's important, and that is killing these packs of units.
And so many of them are so weak too. If they can just get within the town center fire, they'll start getting shredded. But as it is, a lot of them get away scot-free. Some really good play from VortiX here to kind of stick the knife and twist it a little bit and get as much damage and value out of those archers as he can. Meanwhile, though, the horseman did a pretty good job as well. Wham is actually up 4 villager kills. VortiX hasn't touched a single one. He's been focusing, like we said, on those longbows. But Wham getting a little bit of an eco edge here, and he turned that into a big enough game. In a game like this, you really got to stack things together, right? Got to stack those little wins. You get those little wins from small engagements here and there. When you stack enough of those in your favor, that's when the scales really begin to tip. And we're trying to see who's going to get that right now, because at the moment, the numbers for Wham as far as range units isn't looking great, but a slight edge on the economy does feel nice. But man, a lot of weak archers, but still pumping out damage. Triumph activates again. Horseman on horseman. The numbers, at least for horses, are looking pretty good for Wham as they try and wrap around.
This is a bit of an issue here. As we can see, the archers, they do pick off so many things, but the whole army here gets cleaned up from VortiX. And those horses, they're the very mobile army. They're going to outrun those 3 horses of poor VortiX and get a proper set of kills on those archers here. But we do see the reinforcements are here. He doesn't want to give this up for free. One spearman coming on in, trying his best at doing this right. We see the archers trying to focus fire all the low HP horses, and now the longbows are back on the menu for VortiX. But he pulls back, and he wants to save these for as long as he can, because, guys, we are looking at resources, and it's telling us a story. Both of these boys... Oh, never mind. VortiX changed his mind. Wham is thinking about castle.
Wham's definitely thinking about it. I think VortiX is too. He just needed to reinvest a little bit after losing so much. Again, all those weak archers, they did a lot of damage. The unfortunate thing by having a lot of weak units is they get picked off pretty quickly once your front line collapses, and it did there. VortiX overstayed his welcome and had to back out and lost pretty much everything. Got just a couple of units left. But again, castle is on everyone's mind. Wham's going to be there very shortly, and VortiX not too far behind.
Now, VortiX getting that double tower there as well. Yeah, it feels pretty good. You know you're playing against the Byzantines. Byzantines, they love a good little cataphract raid when you're not watching, and VortiX has definitely paid some... he's definitely suffered under that. Oh my goodness. And now he will learn from all those horse raids earlier. He puts the 2 towers down, and getting the Regnus Cathedral up with 13, he wants this quickly. Now, that prelate needs to move into position pretty fast, because you want to make sure that you get that control as fast as possible, especially with Wham having 9 horses on the field. He's going to be able to shut you down pretty quickly. Now, the horses, though, they are spotted, and he does need to be careful here. Every bit of damage that Wham takes now, it's going to mean that VortiX is going to have an easier time the longer this goes.
Golden Horn Tower almost there. Regnitz Cathedral actually going to beat Wham up to castle. He put 11 on that to Wham's 8. Looks like VortiX really rushed it up a little bit more. Gonna try and get on those relics as fast as he can. As HRE, you can see he's already planned ahead. He already has guys sitting there waiting to go. The first prelate. He's only got the 1, but he's sitting there ready to grab it, and he'll have 1 in hand pretty soon, as of right now. But now, Wham's objective, of course, is to deny. Slow that down. Don't let him get that. And maybe he'll get 1, maybe he gets 2. I think if you can keep HRE to 2 relics, you're feeling pretty good. If they get 3, I feel like HRE is just cruising at that point. And if they, heaven forbid, get 4 or 5, you're in a kind of a world of hurt with the Regnits.
Now, that's exactly what I was hoping to see here. VortiX respects the fact that the attack is coming and instantly gets those towers upgraded. He knows those relics that he's about to bring back, they're going to need to make sure that those towers can withstand quite a punch. And that's exactly what we are looking at right now. Interestingly enough, is that just the arrow slits upgrade?
I believe it is.
That is a pretty interesting choice, especially considering his castle. And
I mean, I guess the thought is the gold is running out, right? How much gold is left in that even? Probably not a ton. Probably thinking maybe I could move out with that instead. Yeah, only 1,000 left. He's probably thinking long term he wants to put maybe heavier stuff, save some stone for later, which I actually think that makes sense here.
Oh, definitely. I didn't even think about that. The gold getting a little bit barren makes a lot of sense if you want to make sure that you invest every bit of stone you can onto those outside resources. Now, with that first relic being in the base, Wham hasn't even thought about it. He is still focused on making as many units as he can. No relic shenanigans just yet, but VortiX is the one with the knights in the composition here. Cataphracts also forming the party, but at the same time, you have a pretty solid army to handle most of this. VortiX has a few spears in the mix too, which should be able to do quite a bit here. And the archers now trying to focus fire any other spear that comes out of Wham too. Now we see them right on top of the longbows. And again, the longbow mass just cannot get built up because he keeps moving them out.
Yeah, once that longbow mass reaches a critical mass, this game could easily swing the other way. But as it is, I do like the way Wham's playing this. He's really microed this very well, picked off those spears in time for his cataphracts to now deal with the heavy units, and now sending the horsemen to the back, trying to get those archers out of the way, and now looking really good here in this fight. In fact, really, really good.
We see that relic being yoinked there at the back, but the knights are doing their best at making sure that the rest of these units fall. But the cataphracts, they're providing a pretty chunky front line. He ignored a lot of those longbows for a while there, just trying to save the archers that were running for their lives, but all of them getting picked off pretty quickly. Now the farm transition is in session here for Wham, and he needs this, because very shortly there's going to be no food available to him. We see him up there on a berry patch as well, but this is not going to last forever. And he doesn't want to go out all the way to the north and the south on this map, especially against an HRE.
Yeah, an HRE now with 3 relics in the base, looking to grab the next 2. The gold there running out, but moving immediately forward to the next one. That's not too far from home either.
It's pretty surprising to see, though, because now you can see that this gold is forward, but it leaves the back gold a little bit ripe for the taking for the later stages if Byzantine starts to get out of hand. So, smart move going out here all the way to try and just secure that. But 3 relics in the base already, that is pretty decent for VortiX here.
Yeah, his gold income's going to be looking really healthy here. At this point, with 3, maybe 4 he can maybe get. There's 1 in hand now for Wham. So if Wham really should try and secure both of those to give up any. I think if HRE with 3 relics, that feels like okay. Better than 5. I definitely don't want them to have any more of the engagement. I don't know about this fight here from VortiX. It kind of needs to keep his gold build safe, but taking a lot of hits in the cataphracts, trying to get on the long step back, and they do. And in come the knights again, really trying to get onto those longbows. The cataphracts trying to kind of a slow, heavy slog fight. I think the numbers are in for VortiX here. He needs to get onto the longbows. No spears here to slow him down. Oh, but the Lance Connect do seriously good damage right now. Ooh, Lance Connect cleaning that up with the cataphracts, but a lot of longbows have been spent. In fact, all but 3. That VortiX wanted for the longbows, which doesn't feel great, but does slow down what Byzantine wants. However, the cataphract numbers are starting to look pretty okay for Wham. Up to 7. If he keeps pumping those out, he'll be in a good spot.
Now, it does look like VortiX will survive it for now. Wham, though, he needs to get a double production here, and as Rakocast has turned into a robot, we will just assume that beep, 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 beep will mean that we are in for another big fight with these cataphracts coming back on. Now, I'm excited to see how this looks like for Wham transitioning out of this. The wheelbarrow coming in now, you know, he's ready to get raided. He knows that the risk is there, but at the same time, he's the one doing exactly the same. And surprisingly enough, he hasn't been utilizing prelate numbers to inspire villagers. And I'm absolutely shocked by this, because that's the beauty of the HRE army. The HRE whole civilization is just the inspired villagers you have to ensure that your eco is so much stronger. But now Wham is still pushing forward, and VortiX has not really reinforced that goal just yet. So it does feel like these villagers could be sitting ducks.
Do I sound better? Am I still a robot now, or do I sound better?
Oh well, you turned back human. Welcome back.
Sometimes funny how it hits every caster at some point. We go robot for a little bit and then we come back. Strange. But yeah, this is quite the back and forth we've had. A lot of knights now for VortiX, and the crossbows behind it. I actually like that choice to deal with the cataphracts, because they're just going to get wilted away. In fact, the numbers don't look great for Wham. He does have a couple of Limitine and a couple of Lance Connect behind this. But back and forth we continue.
And it does look like VortiX wants to make a little bit of a play there for the sacred side. Every bit of income helps here. Switching back to archers behind this, though. And getting on a map with such little wood, this is a pretty tough switch to make it back all the way there. So this eco of him, it looks a little bit scuffed. As far as HRE ecos go, this is not something that I thought we would see today. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit everywhere, but what it's really good for is getting raided, and VortiX needs to be so careful. He's got no walls, and we see some pings going off on the map. Wham is aware of this setup.
Wham is aware, and he's going to be continuing to do that too. That's something that Wham is particularly good at, I think, is mid to late game raids. You'll see him do it a lot, and right here, just as I say it, in with the cataphracts he goes, and these things are just so good for raiding because it feels like nothing takes them down.
Now the knights are in position to try and contest this, and a poor scout will pay the price for daring to look at those villagers in any menacing way. But VortiX is aware that there is movement out on the map, and Wham, even though he's got a farm transition going-ish, he's moving out on the map and trying to capitalize on every bit of resource he can. Cataphracts now stepping quite far forward, and the crossbows are just target firing everything in their sight. But again, this forward gold, I'm really surprised he hasn't reinforced it at all. He's spending every bit of resource he can.
It's a bit risky for sure, but his military mass, I mean, if you got enough of a military mass, you don't need to, right? You can just keep him at bay. That only works as long as you have that military. Meanwhile, though, Wham walking back to his base, now standing right next to the Hippodrome. In comes VortiX. It's been a while since he's been in this base, but he's coming back to say hello once more. He thinks he can dive, and he's going to. Or maybe not. He kind of stutter steps, thinks twice about it. And now Wham, the cat and mouse continues, but again, getting some raids on back and forth. Both sides trying to raid the other.
These cataphracts are looking like they're pretty hard to kill. VortiX just not believing in the way of the wall yet. Making sure that those cataphracts get their value in idle time here. But the knights, they get a connection. And the crossbows are not the greatest counter against these spears. He has to target fire perfectly. And it doesn't look like he's able to do so. The cataphracts are getting on top of the archers, and the knights, they're running right into the spears.
Yeah, great engagement for Wham. The archers, the longbows, able to deal with the backline as well, cleaning up the crossbows. That crossbow was really the only true answer to these cataphracts. But with the spears limited A now, if they should get onto those knights, longbows need to stay alive and kind of back around, move away around those spears to stay alive. But as it is, knights trying to do the best they can. You're actually cutting through quite a couple longbows though. But VortiX, looking at the writing on the wall, says, I can't keep producing and I'm losing this fight. Number one goes to Wham.
And losing HRE in this matchup should not be the biggest defeat here for VortiX. Getting Byzantines out of the way, definitely something most players did not even want to face for a second. But now, Byzantines is out. VortiX just losing his HRE does not feel like the biggest defeat just yet. But Wham, looking strong, ensuring that these raids are really landing at exactly the right times. Now, we do see a few of these early engagements coming out. The longbows were doing a pretty decent job, but VortiX knew exactly what he needed to kill. And he did pretty well for a while. But the Byzantines' economy, after a while, it just explodes.
I don't know if after this one, it's going to be VortiX and Wham on King of the Hill. VortiX is going to have a Ubids. Wham's going to have the Malians. Should be a interesting matchup. We've seen the Ubids played on King of the Hill once before today. We're going to see them again. This will be the first time we've seen Malians on King of the Hill, as of today at least. What do you make of this matchup? Who do you prefer to have in this matchup, Whammon?
When I see Aeobids on this map, I think of some pretty bad defeats we've seen in this tournament
Industry
so far.
wing.
Aeobids has not been doing its best recently in a lot of these matchups. So we've seen a lot of them on Hill and Dale. We've seen a lot of them on King of the Hill. And I don't recall a single time we've seen a victory out of them just yet. So Aeobids definitely a strong civilization on these maps. But at this level, it feels like these guys just know exactly what to do to stop them from, you know, completely driving the game into one direction. So you may have your dervishes, but we keep getting industry wing and I keep having question marks because it just doesn't seem to land every single time. But guys, it looks like the game is about ready, unless the timer is a little stuck. No, it is not, guys. We are back and we are seeing pretty stacked gold already.
Yep. Got a bunch of houses on a pit mine. No surprises there. We got villagers who've already consumed an entire bush. It's going to be Culture Wing Logistics, of course. I think Logistics is the right call here. I'm not sure which Civ I prefer in this matchup. Even if everything was even not on King of the Hill, like let's say Dry Arabia, all things being equal, I actually don't know who I prefer. I think both of these Civs are really good. Now, obviously, we've seen Aeobids kind of flounder today a little bit, not be as dominant as maybe it has in weeks past. Malians, though, have we seen Malians win today either? I feel like the one game we saw with Malians, they didn't do too hot as well against China. So we'll see who ends up on top between the two. As it is right now, the Mantiquari going up with 4. Culture Wing Logistics has 1 minute and 12 seconds left, and we'll see who ends up being King of the Hill.
Now, getting the Culture Wing Logistics out, we know exactly what we see from the others. And usually it's one little camel trying to do a little bit of work while being healed up to full pretty easily. It forces an appropriate reaction out of the Malians and gets them into a position where they're spending resources on things other than cows and upgrades. So you would definitely want VortiX to do something like that against this. But while I say that, I just don't see him investing anything in wood just yet. How many villages do we have on wood? Can we just take a quick look at his TC? Just a little bit up. No villages on wood. Up until... This might just be a clean, fast castle. The man says, I'm not planning to invest anything. Malians is going to get that eco up and running anyway.
Bold move, Cotton. Bold move. I feel like letting Malians just do their thing. I don't know that a Aeobids is fast enough just to say, I'm just going to go castle and then destroy everything. I feel like maybe in a world they can, but I think it's a bold move. I feel like just letting Malians get away with it feels a bit dangerous.
Now, Malians getting that age up. Let's go see the first thing they do, because there's some wood in the bank. To be fair, if your opponent's not doing anything, you might as well just go for that second pit mine, right? But I feel like Wham is a responsible boy. He's not going to be going... he's not going to be going just for a cleanup, a second pit mine there. Most likely we're going to be seeing some form of a production building coming on out. But VortiX, he's strongly on his way to castle already. Completely naked. In front of everyone. Cannot believe this.
The audacity. The utter audacity. The scout just slowly burning the mining camp there, not doing too much. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how well this works out for VortiX. There's definitely a world where if you get moving fast enough and if your opponent doesn't capitalize on the fact that they're not getting pressured right now, maybe you can get enough done. Maybe VortiX can get enough done, tie the series up. It's a kind of a long distance to go over that hill and to get into the base. So yeah, you can get castle age, but I feel like Malians does such a good job of just defending. And when they get a chance to boom unabated for a little bit, I feel like they do really, really well. So we'll see how this goes. As it is, he should be clicking up here relatively soon. Maybe just another half minute more of resources should get him there.
Now, him aging up here is great, but it takes forever. So even though he's going to get that age up, Wham is going to be able to make an appropriate response based on what that scout sees. And that scout, he's standing in position because he knows he needs to get this information. Donzo making his way through industry, coming out again. And I'm really excited to see if it'll do anything this time. But this time we don't have a lot of... I was about to say we don't have a lot of villagers on wood. So maybe the wood will actually be useful in this scenario. But the man says industry is my answer. And I feel like I'm missing something. You get the wood. And what else do you get?
I mean, you get the wood. I mean, it also, if we can hover over it too, there's something else that it does as well. I'm forgetting off the top of my head that the industry wing does. I want to say it increases the build speed, potentially. I might be wrong on that.
Observer is not sure either as he's looking at our gold.
Top left.
Okay, observer.
Top left, economic wing. I wanted to see what exactly it does. I'm pretty sure it does...
Build faster. Great.
Okay, so construction speed. And there is stone. There's also stone you can sell away. So, alrighty.
And there's actually going down.
Wow.
Now, with this, you losing a villager, that's pretty big, especially against Malians. They're the serve that doesn't really... They don't really suffer if they lose a villager too much at this point of the game. Although, this is not the same variety of Malians that we usually see. Guys, Wham might be very sneaky here, not going for a single cow and just capitalizing on every resource out on the map as far as he can. Because now you have to keep in mind, VortiX, he's going to be in a pretty tough spot here. He's building a market already. He knows how tough this is going to be. The industry wing coming out, it's going to mean he's going to be able to build a tower to try and defend if he so pleases. But he's going to be starved from food for quite a bit here. The berries have just run out. The sheep, not too sure how many sheep we have here. Our sheep counter currently not functioning. But this is going to mean he needs to find a lot of answers pretty quickly to a very big army starting to form. And it doesn't matter what he builds. He sells a little bit of the wood. Let's go see what he gets.
Sold off the stone, and now he's building the production buildings. We've seen this build from time to time. It's definitely become a mainstay, I feel like, of the Spanish bros. They seem to really like this build. They must have something on it that they really, really enjoy. We see a couple of stables, a couple of archery ranges. And it does give you a lot of tempo right off the bat. You can start just pumping out units, you know, the entire time your villagers have been gathering food, they've been gathering gold, should have a lot of resources to propel you into Castle Age. The question is it enough to win the game? And it is interesting that only now we have one cow out for Wham, so a very delayed cow boom. But on the flip side, he's gotten aggressive, seeing that his opponent has decided just to go castle. He's just kind of knocking on the doorstep and boxing VortiX in slowly and surely. The question is now, will VortiX be able to break out now that he's in castle?
I'm just very surprised to see that VortiX hasn't been able to secure a single relic. One of the relics making its way back to the base now, but that second one that we usually see with an instant pickup, not too lucky with that just yet. And this is a sneaky relic at that. It's going to take a while to get back to the base. Archer upgrades now coming out for VortiX. And this dervish does need to be careful, but the gold is completely denied here. 2 cows for Wham. This man, he's snacking tonight.
Someone in the Malians base is going, where's the beef? It's taking a little while, but it's on its way eventually, as we see the Donzos and Javelin Throwers kind of marching around. The Relic Denial has been really impressive, though. Wham, just not letting VortiX get those in. Meanwhile, the cow boom starting slowly. We're still kind of this wait-and-see mode. VortiX is in Castle Age, but Wham's going to start catching up here at this rate.
Now, VortiX, with all of those camels, he probably needs to find a spot to actually land. Now, the fact that Wham is the first pro we've seen in a while that goes for Javelin Throwers tells me he feels confident in them. And with the amount of cows we see, I don't think we're going to be getting Javelineers, but a girl can dream after all. He started to get those cow numbers up and running, and that first relic is finally on its way back. But VortiX is still stuck in the base. He's still denied off of the gold, and he needs to think about what does he do to get out of this situation.
Deleting the wall. Not even going to make him go around. He wants that in right now. That's actually really funny to me. You know, it would have taken an extra 2 seconds for it to walk around, but nope, just has to flash the micro there and delete the wall right there.
He needs to be able to get the gold now.
Needs it right now. Every millisecond, day trading levels of micromanagement. I love it. Love to see it.
And now with Wham feeling like, hey, he needs to spend some resources, he backs off a little bit here. The javelin thrower is doing a pretty good job against these archers, but the camel lancers, they are stepping forward, taking quite a bit of damage here. The scout pays the price though, and the archers are getting picked off, but not perfectly just yet. Doing a lot of good work here against the Donzos. The javelins are just not cleaning them up fast enough.
That's a lot of camel launches, and they get a good connect, good charge onto the javelin throwers, but none go down. But again, the archers just picking off the Donzos. Javs are thinning out those numbers as well. It's kind of just a back and forth. The camel lancers trying to get on top of those Javs. We'll get another one. Another charge gets off. Donzos turn around. Good back and forth and good micro from both these players. And oh, I like this. Great pickup from VortiX, just getting a little extra, knocking out those Donzos with the camels. That feels really, really good in this situation.
Now, one of these camels will pay the price, but maybe a second one even. But it feels like Wham has gotten his momentum stopped from that Malian's push. And him thinking about that Castle Age doesn't seem that realistic anymore. VortiX is now back onto gold. He's no longer denied, and he's got 2 relics with a 3rd on the way. The cow economy, definitely not where you need it to survive here.
That was an interesting choice from Wham to delay the cow boom. He definitely went for some aggression early. I'm not 100% sure what that netted him. Like, what did he get out of that? He slowed VortiX down a little bit, but ultimately, VortiX is still in castle and still, threatening to attack his base. So I wonder if delaying the cows was great or not. I mean, obviously he's still in this. It's not like he's lost the game by any means, but it definitely has made this game play out in a bit different fashion than we tend to see from Malians.
Now the javelin throwers, there's more than enough here to deal with these archers, but at the same time, the micro here from the archers, they don't care about the javelins. They might die, but the camel lancers are here to do the work, and you see them perfectly target firing those Donzos, falling like flies. The camel's feeling a little bit more confident to get on top now, and another one, again, getting a very, very low here, but Wham is running out of firepower, and losing Malians against Ayyubids is not the bingo card I was expecting to pull today.
Especially with the industry wing, right?
I can see the value of industry wing, especially when you want to get that tempo going. It just hasn't been working out for a lot of players here because people knew how to respond to it. So with this, Wham, he knew how to respond. He just wasn't able to do enough damage with this. And we've seen this before on this map. Earlier today, when we saw Order of the Dragon building that second TC, it feels so difficult to really do the damage against your opponent when they sit back and just have a lovely time.
At this point, Wham is starting to consider Castle Age now. He's just about got the gold. The food, if you look at it now, the cow boom is basically online. So it was delayed, but inevitable it seems to be. It's here now. The question is now, can VortiX do damage? Because he's been in Age 3 for a while. He's now got 4 of the relics. He's been knocking on the door, but there's still a pretty healthy mass here from Wham. Can VortiX do enough damage now? Because the cow boom's going to start covering up some distance really quick and really propel Wham forward. You see, he's just seconds away from clicking into Castle Age.
Now, with all of those resources going into a Castle Age, this is okay for Malians. You want to be able, with the Malians, to get a little bit of breathing room to just mass up yet again. But VortiX, he's in a very peculiar position here. He's got control in the middle. Now, if he reinforces this is where it starts to become harder and harder for the Malians. They usually don't have an answer to dealing with a huge mass themselves unless they go for siege, which is something most of the time they cannot afford. They are drowning in food, not in other resources. But with the Grand Fulani coming up, we know this is when they are the weakest, and the archers are ready on top of these Donzos, and we can see the camels are just trying to focus on as much of these javelins as they can. But a little bit of a deep commit here by VortiX. They're getting right on top. The Donzos are doing a lot of work here, but the archers, as few as are left, they are trying to pick up every man with the stick they see.
Last time we saw Malians be played, they didn't have enough Erics to keep up the Donzo production. But here that is not the case. Wham, like you said earlier, a good person. What was the term you used? Like the good player he is, has enough production buildings to really mass those Donzos, which is what he needs to keep those camels at bay. And now he's basically up into Castle Age. And so this is where things get really interesting, because look at the food per minute. He's getting close to 1,400 food a minute over there. Over 1,000 for sure. VortiX only around 600 to 700. And so Yeah, he's got lots of gold, but Wham can start really pumping units, and being in Castle Age, this is where things get kind of tricky, and there's only 8 minutes on the Sacred Site left, so that's still quite a bit of time. I like what VortiX is doing, though, going for the Manganiques. This is the way to go. Just the mass spread of damage you can do could really clear up this massive chaff that Wham is producing.
Now, this is where the big question mark comes in. Is this the overcommit from VortiX that ends the game for him? Because what he did earlier... Ooh, hello there, Manganique. Shooting all the way from China, we see. But with this, Wham has been given that little bit of breathing room, at least for a moment now, to let that food economy do the ticking. Manganique are going to get a pretty good shot off yet again, with those fireballs just hitting everything. But VortiX lost a lot of units here, so this is something that can snowball pretty quickly. And at the same time, VortiX can fireball pretty quickly onto these houses and stop that momentum from Malians if he doesn't get a bunch of houses up pretty soon.
Yeah, those Manganiques are, frankly, a bit of a win condition in my opinion. You can see what they're doing to the houses right there, just absolute destruction. And moreover, they could do the same to the units. If he gets one more in there especially, he's going to be cruising. And really, Wham doesn't have a unit that can really answer this. He's got 4 Sofa in the queue now. He realizes, oh, I need to deal with these, and the only way I can really close that gap is with a heavy front line of cavalry. Because you better bet VortiX is going to try and keep those safe, but takes down the pit mine. It's a big pickup there for VortiX, and he's just going to keep pressing in. There's that third one right there.
It pop caps the Malians for such a long time as well, because your houses, you only get 5 pop per house. So it does stack up pretty quickly, but he sees the stables. He's going to need to be ready for this. And VortiX, we can see, he's not playing this like a standard Aeobids. Aeobids, up until now, they've been pulling back and they've just been sitting on the sacred site. And every single time, it hasn't worked out. This is an aggressive VortiX who's actually trying to force mistakes out of his opponent. But those javelin throwers, they are still doing a good job against these archers. But 24 archers, that's a lot more than we saw before.
Oh, just look at the spread on these fire shots. Look how much ground they cover. This is why they're so good, is that mangonels now, you just can't hit your targets against a good microwing player. These Manganiques don't give a crap. They just rain fire down from on high, and they cover so much. Even though they don't do a lot of damage each spread, it's when you've got 2 or 3 of those just continually dropping fire on that huge spread. It's just a massive area effect that starts really adding up after every single hit. We see here a huge engagement. The front line knows what matters the most. The Sofa getting onto the Manganique in the back, and they are going to find one. Can they get to the other one? Looks like they will. That's a huge loss for VortiX, and Wham, holding by the skin of his teeth, denying VortiX an easy victory. Going to make him have to go back to the drawing board and maybe try again or dive something else and kind of look for another answer. But for the time being, that was a big pickup from Wham. Looks like the Sofa choice was a great one.
The Sofa switch always hits really hard because you can see VortiX was not prepared for this. Getting a bunch of archers, great against Donzos, against a bunch of Sofas. These things barely make a dent in them. Camels, though, causing a little bit of unease, but it just doesn't feel like it's doing anything else. The Camel Lancers not doing the greatest of jobs here, but the pullback is perfect, and VortiX re-engages yet again. The Camels, though, it feels like they are just letting that charge do the work, and the archers are performing miracles on these Donzos.
Yeah, this comp now favors VortiX just a little bit there. The Sofa are really tanky and really powerful with the imported armor especially, but that camel unease cannot be understated.
He's not producing any villagers. Oh, never mind. VortiX is back. He realizes that TC was a little bit idle there for a moment, and you can see
down
that's
by 5.
Yeah, that's a 5 villager idle. Ooh, that is a massive difference, especially up against Malians, who has 14 cows. I notice now that Wham is a hungry boy, just getting the cows out, eating them one by one. He is in a little bit of a pickle. He knows how much he needs to produce. There's only 4 minutes left on the Sacred Site timer. And all of a sudden, we're asking ourselves, was this what Aeobids was missing all along? That little bit of aggression after all this time.
It's hard to compare sometimes, right? Because Malians just don't have the same frontline units that Roos did in that other matchup we saw with Aeobids on this map. For Roos, they can, make some front heavy units. For Malians, they don't really have that option, And so they're left with just going for the Sofas, which against the Camels don't feel as good. These Manganiques, they got so much value in before. They're looking to do so again. I like that VortiX has backed up a little bit and then remade those, because having those on the field is such a game changer. As we see just more fire shots, really just love watching those go.
The fire shots are doing work, and especially with them aiming their cells right at the cows. Now, those cows can also melt into tiny, tiny pieces with those fire shots on them. And you can see that the cow bodies hit the floor, and this feels pretty good for VortiX. But another engagement comes out, and that's a lot of Donzo socketing.
Yes, indeed. And they find a Manjanique for the effort. Probably going to get the other one as well. Sacred Sight down to 3 minutes. Wham, really playing out of his mind, trying to hold this and make something happen. It's not been an easy go for him. You could say it's been a very uphill battle in every sense of the word.
Now, he is doing his best at microing these, but you can see the camels are really struggling against this mass of Donzos here. Wham not really reinvesting into all of these javelin throwers, but the Sacred Site has not been decapped, and there's not a single tower to support this. It felt like there was a moment there where he would have probably been able to do so, but all of a sudden, Wham's mass is just getting smaller and smaller, even though he has the Malian's economy.
VortiX is almost out of food. He's like doesn't have anything in the bank. He's got some coming in, but he's just sitting on wood and gold. If Wham could just clear these camels out of the way, he'd have some time to breathe, but he needs to get on that Sacred Site. 2 minutes and 30 seconds and counting. Meanwhile, this front fight looking pretty okay here for Wham, but losing a little by little. Again, the camel unease just comes in so hard.
You can see the camels, those are so expensive, and they're falling pretty heavily as well. You see him trying to get every charge he can, but now all the archers are done, and that looks to be it. Wham survived. Wham did it.
He has pulled just enough. Again, it was lack of food. There's just not enough food coming in a minute for VortiX. He is just so hungry. He spent everything there. He just spent all that wood and gold that he had. He's remassing, but this gives Wham the hugest of opportunities. He has done just enough to crawl himself back in. That Sacred Site was about to be very, very problematic. Instead, it's being decapped as we speak. And now a lot of Camel Lancers coming back, but we'll probably get the decap before they get there.
Now, even if he decaps this, we have to keep in mind, this is a Malians with insane amounts of food. We also have a position here where VortiX does not have a food transition whatsoever, but he's got 5 relics. And 5 relics, that's a pretty decent income, but is it going to be enough?
It's just not. It just isn't. Malians, or sorry, Ayyubids just kind of gets hit by a brick wall when they run out of food, especially if they don't have a backup plan, if they haven't started with the farm transition. This is what we're looking at right here is it. This is it. Once this is gone, VortiX has nothing, and he needs to get that farm transition. Unfortunately for him, now Wham is 100% online. 17 of 20 cows. He's on top of the hill. He's building infrastructure, and now he's raiding your base. This is where things get really difficult. And with Malians as Ayyubids as a tempo civ, when the tempo's in your favor, things are great. The moment you trip up a little bit, the tempo loses you, and you kind of end up tripping and falling on your face. And that's kind of what happens with Ayyubids. It's really tough to claw into a really long game against a powerhouse like Malians once the tempo is lost.
Now with these camels, VortiX knows he needs to find a real damage, because up until now, the damage has just not been found. Javelin throwers here at the front, picking off again a bunch of these archers, but now there's a keep to help this as well. And that archer mass is just not going to be hitting the same way, but we do see him trying for this anyway. Manjanique's in position yet again. He wants to keep this fight going, and VortiX, even with the villager deficit, losing the vills, forgetting to make the vills, he's still holding strong, and he wants to make this work. He does need to be careful with those Manjaniques, because if he loses those, he is not going to be able to afford to remake them too easily.
Well, there goes one. Second one, gonna just squeak through for the time being. Needs to get some shots out, but those fire shots in one shot, you can see, doesn't do a whole lot there. You really need to have a couple of those to really get that punch you're looking for.
Now, Wham has fully recovered with all those pit mines, and now with this control in the middle, this feels pretty good. He hasn't been able to secure the Sacred Site just yet, but 2,000 food per minute. He's out here on the deer, getting all of those resources too. The Camel Lance is now looking for a bit of damage, but the problem is this army cannot easily be remade. And if Wham picks this off, which he looks very excited to do so, we see him going straight for that Manjanique. Archers trying to body block, but archers are not the front line you should be looking for. The camels trying to perform miracles here, but they know if they get them down, that pit mine is going to live another day. The Donzos making their way forward. With all these sofas, you just cannot target fire these without using every bit of your APM.
And they're backing themselves into a corner. There's nowhere to go. That's walled in. They might not even realize it yet. Trying to back on and kite this out as best they can, but wham, look at the food a minute. 1,600 a minute to VortiX's 900. They are just in full control, and VortiX knows it, calls it GG, and we'll try again in the next one. Game number 2 goes to wham.
And wham looking pretty solid here. After last week, I was a little bit worried about wham qualifying through all of these, but now this is him fighting pretty convincingly to get into that top 4. VortiX has his work cut out for him, but is this the time for VortiX to be just like his brother and almost force a reverse sweep? We'll have to see, because now wham has gotten 2 pretty strong civs out of the way. But let's see what VortiX has in store for the rest of them. 5 relics was just not enough to feed that army.
And the tricky thing with getting the strong civs out of the way is then you're down 0-2, right? So wham using some strong civs, but getting wins out of them, doing really, really well here. Coming up next, VortiX is going to have his French, which he's pretty dang good with, but wham going to be using the Golden Horde. We have not yet gotten to see them today, and we're going to be on Front Range, also a map we have not gotten to cast today. So some new stuff coming on the horizon. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, Front Range, definitely haven't seen a lot of what some civs can do with this, because a lot of players, they go for that early aggression onto the ball to try and force something. Both of them in front of us today, neither civilizations are really Dark Age civilizations. Mongols, you know, the dad civ of the Golden Horde, not the same story for them. They love getting a little bit of Dark Age action, but French and Golden Horde, they just don't do Dark Age. So we'll see who's brave enough to go for that middle boar, and I'm honestly hoping it will be VortiX, because favors, what is the bravery favors the bold? What is that expression that you have in the US?
The bold,
Fortune.
yeah.
Thank you. My English teacher for the day.
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask, now, why is Mongols the dad civ?
I guess because they're the OG.
Okay,
they're
that makes sense.
The father,
I gotcha.
The father, yeah. Also because they're very lame, right? There we go. Dad joke into, yeah. I worked hard on that one.
I like it. I think that works. That works for me. Oh,
now, with Front Range, we've been seeing a lot of players make slight bit of a misstep here and there with not properly getting control of the top. And that's usually where things start to fall apart. And Golden Horde on here, they have looked pretty spicy, especially with those big towers. They get to place everywhere. They get control of that middle part of the map pretty easily. While French, on the other hand, they're so food hungry. If they don't find a way to get control, this can spiral out of control quickly. And I feel like I've said that word way too many times now. So at this point, Sockleton, just take it out of my mouth so you can...
I gotcha. No, I agree. French, to me, it's so interesting because they can be such a powerhouse at times when you get someone who's really good at microing them. Someone actually like VortiX who's really good with his knights, really a good aggressive player. The tricky thing is, and I always say this, the best way to slow them down is to hit their economy. They're kind of like the schoolyard bully. Once you push them back a little bit and you hit them in the economy where it hurts, suddenly they don't look so powerful. And part of the reason they're so good is they get that slightly faster villager production speed. So they're slowly kind of edging a villager lead in front of you. And the knights everywhere seem really intimidating. Once you can get some damage back and hit their food a little bit, hit their gold a little bit, it becomes really difficult for them to replace those knights when they get lost. So I think Golden Horde has got a really good chance, especially the way they take the middle of the map where there's so many different resources sitting right there. You got the deer, you got the boar, all those things kind of just sit in the middle. You can deny that, force French into kind of a difficult spot, put them on the back foot, and it's a whole different ball game.
And we'll see exactly what these guys have in store for us as we are loading on in. Let's see, is anyone moving to the middle? Nope. Everyone's playing it safe. That is not what I expected to see here. VortiX, what's going on, man? Going for the deer, though. So at least being a little bit spicy here.
You might as well with a faster gathering speed when it's right there next to your base. I like it.
So with this, we see survival techniques coming in, which means no wheelbarrow for the poor man. Makes a lot of sense, though. You are now just gathering from all the hunt that you can. But what makes this a little bit harder for Golden Horde, in my opinion, is the fact that you are going to struggle with the faster age up from French. Now, Wham is going to need a little bit of time, and the Khan and the Torguds, they just don't do as well against knights as you would want them to. But as we said before, they do have a better way of getting around the map and trying to get a bit of control out there with those towers of theirs. They are more expensive though. So French on other maps, they pretty much destroy Golden Horde. But here, I feel like there is a little bit more of shenanigans at play. Wham can definitely use a lot more strategy to get out of here against the French.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll see how it goes out. I feel like Golden Horde really does have a good ability of kind of, claiming the map as they want. This map's really interesting too. This is our first look today at Front Range, and it's such a fascinating map to me because I don't feel like I've seen this game, a game on this map, go longer than like 25 minutes. So often that whole northwest part of the map doesn't get utilized a whole lot. Most of the action's just kind of down here in the foothills, not up in the mountains. And so it's interesting to see how players have adapted to this map because it plays a little bit differently than some, especially with all the stealth forests and all that gold hidden up in there. But most of the action always kind of ends up being just down below. So I'm always fascinated to see if a game goes long enough when players start to move north.
Now, what I like here about VortiX's position, especially with the gold, he's got a gold out there, but at the same time, he's got a gold downwards as well. So he does have two very different positions to move to. And 1,600 gold, it's not a lot. It's going to last you a few nights and a few more hopes and dreams. But it's going to force him to turn. And this makes sure that Wham needs to put pressure on a different side from the original spawn side. So Wham needs to read this and be sure that he follows through with that pretty well. And VortiX, he does get that point to get a little bit of vision. And Wham not doing the same with his scout at the moment, just still running around. And Khan Thorgut's coming on out with School of Cavalry being built up with 5. We are definitely going to see French hitting it a little bit earlier. And this at the same time while getting both wheelbarrow and survival techniques.
Looks like he's using his scout to still push the deer. You can nerf this to the ground. People will still push the deer around a little bit, as we see Wham doing with expert care. A couple of venison chops for the villagers of the Golden Horn. That'll be nice for him. It's funny to me how much they nerf the deer pushing and how much we still can see it in this day and age. It'll never be gone. They'll never get rid of it.
Oh, we believe. With the deer pushing, every bit of jump just really pays off here. And the pro players, they have the extra APM. They might as well use it. So this is going to be a big question mark, though, because VortiX now, he's going to be able to get that first night out. We can see the timing working out pretty well here with all the resources. He's actually got enough to get those first 2 nights out. And now the question is, where does he land with this? With the Khan, you have a unit that is not going to trade too well against the Knights, but they will eventually be able to heal up. And we see a barracks coming on out here from Wham, pretty far forward.
I like this. Kind of aggressive, but kind of fun. Gets a quicker march speed over to your opponent's base. Of course, immediately scattered out by VortiX, but it'll still get up. Meanwhile, the first night... Oh, sorry. The first night coming in here any second, and then, I guess, what do you look to pressure? Do you try and wrap around and get that, that back base right there, the back gold? I feel like it's the best place to go at the moment, but you gotta be on the lookout for those outside food resources eventually, too. The gold, it's kind of lucky for Wham. Both of those golds tucked nicely in the back.
Now, this is the beauty of French. You go where the villagers go. So for him, that means shutting down villagers on both that gold. With one knight, you can easily do something like that. On the other hand, you want to send your knight straight to the Uwu so that you can try and shut down a villager from trying to build that. And we have 2 knights on the way. We see with VortiX that micro is coming in clutch, dragging the spearman away. And the knight, he knows where his victim lies, but the Khan spots it, and the Khan is going for a little bit of raiding himself. VortiX needs to be careful here. If those spearmen get a connect, that's a pretty expensive, useless knight for quite a while.
I say, yeah, no way Wham lets that knight get that poor villager. Those spears are in the perfect spot to defend it. And defend it they will do, as the knight has to just go back home and deal with their own problems they have in their base.
Now we do see the knight facing off against the Khan. And the Khan looks like he's made of paper in this trial of battles. It looks like an absolute destruction for this poor guy. He is going to need to pull back, but another knight. He just does get a good charge off.
Yeah, VortiX with a nice little pincer maneuver. Not enough knights there to really fully body block, but hey, a little extra damage goes a long way.
Now with the barracks out there on the he is going to be able to double produce the spears. Oh, wait, they double produce the spears anyway. Why would you put the barracks out on the... Ooh, it doesn't work like Mongols, but as you said, you have a very short walking distance here. The villagers getting that ball control, and this is what we mean, ladies and gentlemen. That ball control is going to be the factor of night production.
I wonder if that barracks, I'm just thinking back to that. I think it was just a matter of convenience, right? Use the villager to build the uvu, and then you just kind of go ahead and build the barracks right next to it because your villager's already there. I feel like that's just a matter of convenience. But meanwhile, some night-on-night action. It is a night meta, as we've said from the beginning. The board, I think they might have almost got a Vil, but it didn't quite die.
Oh, the scout does pay the price, though. And it's interesting to me. It feels like VortiX went and fired elsewhere. Oh, yes, because the core goods, they protect the Khan. Now, the Khan is going to slowly heal up, and that feels like a pretty decent situation for him here. Now, the Knights, oh, they are trying to do a little bit of damage, but it feels like there was a little bit of a block there as the Spearman barely takes a dent in him. And the Knights, they are the ones with the low HP pulling back. But with all those spears that he has here at the front, he's easily able to push back the Knights that dare look at the gold, even slightly in a funny way.
Both players very firmly in feudal age here. No thought about castle yet. I mean, food barely above 200, not even above 200 for either player at the moment. Gold just barely above 200 for Wham. They are firmly set on having a feudal fight here on the front range. And we can see that, you know, lots of cavalry going both ways. Wham's adding a couple more spears into the mix as well. A little bit slower, and now in turn, VortiX adding some archers to go with it. So we're kind of seeing the cat and mouse both strategically and physically on the board being played out.
Now, with these archers, he does need to be careful. They're very strongly moving out, very confidently trying to shoot at things. The Knights, though, they're in position. And it looks like Wham looks away for a second. And the archers, they will get a victim after all.
That's a nice pickup there for VortiX.
And a villager. VortiX showing us what... So VortiX, I believe he's doing a little bit better on average than his brother. Both of these guys, though, they are menaces on French, and they're showing us why people don't let them play French after all. Now getting chivalry, and we know exactly what this looks like afterwards. This is just going to be non-stop night raids with all the low HP Knights being pulled back perfectly, as they always do. The Knights are ready for another charge here, but the horses will back out just in time.
Yeah, it feels like things are starting to slow down just a little bit here for both players. Both kind of just stocking up their militaries, expanding what they have. It's 15 to 19 as far as military numbers go. Economy numbers ever so slightly ahead for VortiX here. That's going to be in part because French has a faster build speed, and also because they've gotten a villager kill to go with it. So a little bit ahead there. A little engagement here from these Knights, trying to knock something down if they can. I don't think Wham wants to stand and fight. Only 2 units to 2, and they've got a little bit less health.
Now, these Knights are trying to catch up and do something, but the Khan just running around, healing himself, having a lovely day here. Villagers out here on the berries tells VortiX, okay, or tells Wham, hey, this man is also struggling for food, but we already knew that. That's the beauty of the map. Everyone's struggling for food. And the difference is now who gets to raid the other one and make it expensive to be out here anyway. We do see a purple blob moving forward towards that deer, and I'm wondering to myself, is this just a spearman? Yes, it's just a spearman mass moving on out. The scout does not spot them just yet, but they are split up quite a bit here.
Ooh, this could be dangerous, though. Splitting those up at the worst time, because there's some archers behind those Knights. Hopefully Wham has an answer for that. His horses are moving towards the enemy base. They're backing all the way back into theirs, and the Knights will go ahead and attack the Ovo instead.
Now the villagers on that boar, they're still having a lovely time with all of that meat. And Wham is asking himself, what happens to me when those deer run out? Because now VortiX still has access to that back deer that he has. He has another berry bush there at the back too. So for him, this feels okay. You have to keep in mind that VortiX, though, he's playing French, right? This is a serve that is scaling already. And Wham, he doesn't have those resources stocked up just yet from all these Uwus to get the upgrades that he needs to produce units, basically that extra bit for free.
Well, that's a big difference too, as you mentioned the upgrades. I mean, Wheelbarrow already in for VortiX, just now still being researched by Wham as we see this fight starting to unfold before us. Remember, a couple of blacksmith upgrades already in for VortiX as the fight ensues. Spears trying to get onto the Knights. Meanwhile, Wham trying to get onto the archers with his cavalry.
And VortiX is sniping everything perfectly. We see those spearman numbers falling so low, and the knights are ready to stand at the front lines almost, he says. Just give us one more second. Another spear going down, and another one. And now we're down to 5 spears, and this is looking really good for VortiX here. The knight mass is just too much, and it looks like VortiX is about to start pushing back. And the moment you start pushing back, this is where the food is under siege, and everything else falls right after.
Yeah, not having any spears to fend off those knights anymore. And the problem is those archers. Wham just can't get on top of those archers. He really needs some of his own, but just can't really afford them right now. Because when you're going against a 1-1 comp, it's just really difficult to deal with when you don't have one of every single thing. And now VortiX is starting to have his way with the map control. The best that Wham can do now is maybe try and pick off reinforcements, maybe try and go get a raid of his own done while he has a little bit of time. You can see he's starting to mass up some units on the berries, trying to see what he can do. That pink blob now, sorry, that purple blob moving across the map again, looking for reinforcements, looking for some vill kills, heading straight to the villagers on the deer.
And they will find a lot of villagers to be taken care of, but only one falling down so far. We do see another one going to be going down, but the knights are in position and only 2 falling in that exchange. Absolutely perfect here by VortiX, making sure that he loses as little as possible, and the villager count's still very much even.
That was such a smart, quick reaction there. Now, what this does for Wham, though, is it gives him a little more time to figure out his dire food situation. He's working on it. He's actually got a lot of food coming in a minute. It's just what happens when that runs out, right? Meanwhile, VortiX starting to run out of food himself. He's finally moved on to that deer pack down to the south. Wham slowing down those vills on the board does help a little bit. Both these civs kind of run into the same problem eventually, right? Where they run out of food, and then what do? There's not a lot on this map.
You can see this tower needs to perform miracles. Now the villagers are trying their best at just repairing it and keeping it alive as long as possible. Trying to focus fire on those low HP units. You can see with all of these horses, he's doing his best at frontlining, but the French knights are the army that you want in this scenario. And the knights now on top of the vills, he's going to go and equalize those villager kills. Them just popping in and out as much as they can, but the archer numbers are still superior here. And we have 0 spearmen on the board. And soon enough, 0 units overall for Mr. Wham. This is a destruction.
Yeah,
destruction.
That was not good for Wham whatsoever. VortiX very much in the driver's seat now. You got 34 units to the 10, 13 knights to only 3 cavalry or so units for Wham, and the 17 archers. I mean, that's the real issue too, is behind this, you can try and produce spears, you can try and counter those knights, but with the archer mass behind, especially in a choke point like that, the DPS was insane for VortiX right there.
Now, both of these guys doing a pretty good job at keeping the villagers as alive as possible. As you can see, again, the villager count, even with this massive pickup, we had the tour goods doing some work at the back there too. Oh, wait, no, those are just Keshiks. But they were cleaning up what they can. A few stray villagers being picked up. And Wham, he's struggling. We can see the resources per minute telling us the story of a man who is starving. But they're pretty much even in that starving situation for themselves. Do you see some villagers moving out there to the D in the south, and VortiX, this opens them up to a little bit of a raiding too.
And the difference here is they're both starving, and they both have about the same number of villagers. The difference is that Wham lost that fight. And that's kind of where, well, as long as VortiX has that mass, he doesn't need to worry about replacing it. He's doing great. So Wham now trying to remass and get something going. He's got 22 units now. That's respectable here, at least to scare away, but he doesn't really want to fight those knights. I mean, 18 royal knights. It doesn't feel good to fight in any shape or form when you don't have that many numbers.
And the archers are also just trying to snipe the spears here from VortiX. He only has a handful, but a handful is enough, with the French knights being the real problem at front here. And the Khan goes down, and you know what Lenok once said, Khan die, I die. And this is exactly telling us what's happening to Wham here, as the tower is now under siege to some villagers on the berries there, just minding their own business, hoping that food will feed a whole army. But we know exactly what VortiX wants. He wants these defenses down, and he wants to kill everything in his sight.
We got to remember too that this is a civ that's really good with VortiX. He's just one of the best French players in the world. It's just what he's good at, you know? He's good with his knight micro, good at these fights. Wham knows it, we know it. Viewers at home, I'm sure you know it. That's going to be game. VortiX gets on the board, so now it makes it a 2-1 series.
And maybe this is the momentum that VortiX was looking for. Getting his, I would say, one of his top civilizations out on a map like this feels pretty good, especially considering that with this map, you are struggling for food. It didn't look like this man struggled for food. It looked like he was fully fed, ready to roll, and doing the work that French needs to do. So we'll hop over and see the draft to see what's left in a moment, because this next one is going to be critical. And we see Japan getting sniped yet again. Everyone telling us the same story again and again. Japan shall not pass onto any map. And House of Lancaster being chosen above that. But at the same time, I'm a little bit surprised here to see that VortiX is sniping Rus. Because the Macedonians has been a much higher priority for bans up until now. And Rus, it hasn't been looking that great in competitive play.
Yeah, a little bit surprising. Maybe he just doesn't... Again, sometimes you just don't like seeing certain civs, you know? Maybe he just doesn't like playing against Rus, doesn't mind Macedonians. But kind of like we were hearing, I believe it was from Baltoon, just saying, you know, Macedonians is just really easy. It's an easy civ to play with, and it's also pretty strong. And so Wham looking to, you know, make this a finalized series and win it out. Or maybe he can do it on Dry Arabia. It'd be a good one to do it. But VortiX going for a reverse sweep of his own. He's got one on the board now. And, you know, House Lancaster's not a pushover by any length of imagination. So we'll see how this goes. We dive into game number 4. VortiX as House Lancaster in the red. Wham playing the Macedonian dynasty here in the purple. He's in the eastern corner. VortiX in the western corner.
Now, a standard House of Lancaster opening we see with the barracks and the 2 spears going out there to make life difficult again. He wants to slow down as much as he can from Wham, and we've seen this time and time again. This is so critical when you're playing against the Macedonian dynasty. You need to find a way to slow them down. But luckily, Wham was blessed and got a backwards gold. On the other hand, he wasn't blessed too much, as his other 2 golds are right on top of one another. They're a little bit to the right. So if VortiX gets that control of one side, it's going to be pretty hard to grab it back.
Looking at this here. Spear's almost there. Walking the long walk to get across. Again, another back gold for Wham, so it's going to be a very long walk to start messing with that. VortiX is going to have have a lot of steps, and that villager's going to hit his daily goal of steps today for sure.
Now, with your spears, again, it doesn't really matter if you get the damage done to actually kill a villager. You just want to slow things down. And this is exactly what he's preparing for. Wham already has the gold he needs to age up. So for him, he's got enough. But he has to ask himself now, how much more do I want out of this? One of the villagers getting pulled back here, already taking a bit of a beating. Oh, never mind. He opts in to stay. And now the second spearman arrives. This is leaving villagers a little bit low. And you do not want to do that when you have 2 spears very happily body blocking. But the age up will come in, and the Imperial Hippodrome is en route.
Wham playing with a little bit of fire there, but showing us that he knows how to do his pyromaniac stuff with safety, keeping those vills just alive. That one's what's the health on that one? That's like got to be 1 hit away, right? Maybe 2. It's close either way, but the Hippodrome coming up, no surprises at all. That should be a good choice for this. Macedonians is interesting in that their Hippodrome gives you such good units. Like, this is a really good landmark, in my opinion. Like, what it can afford you to do on the field of play is really, really good. But likewise, House Lancaster has the lords, and can Macedonians stop these lords, these lords of Lancaster? Because we've seen them in action today a couple times, and they're so tanky and so difficult to bring down, especially because they come out in feudal age. I think it makes it really, really difficult.
Now, with the Imperial Hippodrome, you have an answer to a lot of what House of Lancaster can do. Because, of course, you have free units, but you also have the mobility. And usually that is where House of Lancaster struggles a bit, especially when trying to reinforce that pressure that they've got going. So now we do see that Wham is building a nice little production building up here, which is very nice because it will shoot at anything that dares step under it once the upgrades come on out. But Wham wants to make sure that this gold stays alive. He wants to ensure that this is not going to be denied for too long. And it makes sense. You want to make sure that you have access to your resources to get the upgrades you need when you're playing against House of Lancaster, because you need every single upgrade you can get to deal with those lords. They are made of tank. What is that? Absolute steel, right? What do we make tanks out of? Steel?
Steel. Yeah, they're made of steel.
Okay.
Let's say steel.
There we go.
What's bigger? Made of diamonds. They're made of diamonds. They're made of whatever you want to call them. Whatever's unbreakable. These guys are just pure Kevlar wrapped in anger. They are dangerous.
Now, it does look like the first unit coming on out is a Bogmajir. I don't know how to say this name, and I'm really glad you don't know either. You don't know, right?
No, I'm an American. I don't know how to pronounce weird words like that.
Bogmajir is the archer, as they will now be referred.
Yeah. Something like that.
They will now be referred to. Bogmajir. There we go.
Yeah.
Bogmajir.
That's a weird. What does that D with a line in it mean? I don't know how to say that.
So in modern language, in Serbian, we would say J. But in this case, I don't know how this was in the ancient times.
Like it looks like a thorn almost, like a thorn symbol, which is more like a sound. So like Bogmuther. Something along those lines, I think.
Archers. So the archers from Web, these archers from Web, they are looking feisty already against the spears, but that's fine. VortiX behind this, he's getting his manner. Love that for him. But the villagers, though, they're working really hard to retrieve the wood as we see those vills running from all the way on the other side of that wood line to deliver. Now the horse, this horse is just ready to wreck some villagers who dare step out and just able to get a little bit of information here, running back now. But you have to ask yourself, what does Wham do with this? So he's got control of his wood back. He is going for the double broadaxe first, and just telling us this is what is priority for him. He's going to be needing a lot of wood. So I'm expecting a lot more of those archers.
I think you're right. I think he will go for some more ranged units coming in. I think you got to figure out like what your answer to these lords are, especially if you're going to play some feudal. Having some kind of frontline helps, but having a lot of DPS behind it, even if they're not doing a lot of damage individually, you can pump a bunch of those archers out, do a lot of damage at once, snipe out those lords as you kite them backwards. There could be some back and forth there, and Wham can do that as well as anyone. So I would not be surprised to see him adding a couple more into the foray here. As it is right now, though, there's nothing in the queue.
Now, what's pretty interesting here, and this is the natural response. You know that your opponent has gone for a handful of archers. So, of course, you're just going to go for your horses on the side of House of Lancaster. These Hobblars, again, they've got the best ranged armor. They're not going to mind a little bit of arrow fire coming their way. But Wham knows this and gets Spearman himself to be able to handle all of those. But VortiX is ready to double down and get a ton of yeomen to show Wham exactly what real English archers can feel like.
This feels like one of those like magic games where someone pulls out like an instant, like, I'm going to counter your card. Well, I'm going to counter that counter. Well, I'm going to counter the counter that's countering my card. Each of these guys making units that counter the other one that they're producing. And we've got now, basically, we've walked into a triple comp again, where each guy's got horses, they've got infantry, they've got range. And they're going to need all three to deal with the other.
Now the Hobblars are trying to make their way across the map to just go and poke a little bit at any villager they could see out here. Now the Spearman's already getting into position. Very proud of this man, knowing exactly where the Hobblars are planning to strike. But the yeoman numbers are going to start getting scarier and scarier. There's a reason that longbows and yeomen are such a wonderful unit to have. Ooh, Varangian Stronghold also getting upgraded here so that it can fire any villager that dares stand near it. But they're trying to get a connection. Villagers are fighting back though and instantly pushing these off. Now, this just means that Hobbler is actually ripe for the taking if the archers so desire.
Serious back and forth. Both players looking to raid the other. So far, I don't think we've had a single villager drop dead yet. Nope, not a single one. Even though Wham's come close to losing one. Keeps them alive for the time being. Both these players being very meticulous.
Now, it does look like the Hobbler numbers are not going to be the main investment here either. He sees that, hey, there are some resources out here on the map that people are very happily going for. And we get the tower upgraded as well. This is pretty interesting to me. But of course, the tower upgrade makes sense. Now, your strongholds getting spread out all around the map, that feels even better though, because you get the upgrade once and all of them will fire. So Wham, he's the one out on the map. He's the one that can get raided. But VortiX, he's looking about doing some real damage here. With all of those kings in position, all the lords at least, he's going to go straight for the food source, and let's see how Wham responds. He's got a few horses here.
Yeah, getting his archer upgrades right now. He's going to need that. He's only got 9 of them, but he's getting his 10th in the moment. He's going to need that +1 desperately. And meanwhile, we've already got +1/+1 coming in for VortiX. He's got his ranged damage. He's getting his under iron mesh right now as well. So he's going to be ready for a fight with range units. And with the Hoblars in the lead, they're just not going to take much damage at all. They're going to try and dive in, catch a couple of these vills if they can. Not much there. Rest of the units coming in. He's got the lords who can eventually take down this tower, but it is going to shoot some extra arrows. That was kind of a good addition, but see how quickly it gets melted down there. Half health already. Losing a horse. He's going to back off for the time being. Lose another. That's a scout. Yeah. So that tower already kind of paying off the investment right there, I think.
Now, that feels like a little bit of an overcommitment here from VortiX, just thinking that these could be melting pretty quickly. But apparently +1 is not the answer. You need to deal with these Hobolars. You just need to have enough villagers inside that tower. Now, the villagers are still out here, though, onto the food. And the problem is they didn't repair this. So this second push might just hit much, much harder. But, oof, he's got all the archers in position. And these guys debuff. So those kings are not going to be as tanky as we'd want them to be. But you can see the horse mass trying to get on top of these yeomen. This is going to be a tough one for VortiX.
And the Hobolars aren't really meant for this kind of fight either. They don't do as well into other horses. They're really meant to take down villagers and archers if they can. So they immediately just are gone, essentially. There's one left I think I see right there. And besides that, the only units really left are those lords and the archers behind him. And the lords, 2 of them looking a little rough around their edges on one of them in particular, really close to dying. He's got 4 of them. And the archer mass is still alive, and that's the scary part, right? The DPS behind this is what's going to allow him to continue to do damage.
I cannot believe that Wham didn't manage to do so much more with the archers that he had. It felt like his army was going to be just enough to handle all of these, but the perfect micro from VortiX showed us exactly what he needed to focus. And what he needed to focus is getting rid of those Bokmajir, and he did that perfectly. So apparently VortiX just out here to really fight, and now that army mass from VortiX is going to get scarier and scarier because we just see more yeomen in queue. There's one issue though, and that is a Rodari that is now joining the ranks of all these units. But you can see this is a pretty tough spot to be in because you don't have a lot more food behind this. We do see another gear pack that he has there at the back, but it looks like a pretty heavy commitment here. The horses are in position and the spears. We want to get to the front here, but VortiX is perfectly ready at sniping everything down. Villagers getting stuck in the crossfire.
Lord goes down. Man, the emplacement on that tower has really paid for itself and then some. It is, however, under fire. Villagers trying to repair it, trying to keep it up. It's imperative that it stays up. It's a large, massive archer still underneath this. VortiX really showing his advantage with numbers right now. Lamb just doing his best to stay alive. A lot of those archers are very low health. The villagers pull out again to try and repair the tower. Again, every shot that thing takes is just extra value it's getting from the cost you put into it. We see archers again. Look at that. 4 or 5 archers, pretty low on health, and the tower stays up. So once again, Wham, against all odds, holding on here and doing a really good job of being defensive.
This is the most worth tower I've seen in my life. That poor thing has fired more arrows than any tower has in any of other gold game it's ever played. So Wham definitely getting his value here, but you also have to ask, is VortiX just going to keep trying to take down that tower? We see more Hobolars making their way to that side of the map, but there's another deer pack that could use some attention here. VortiX now getting 6 more yeomen, but we have to keep in mind, Wham is switching things up. I see he just cancelled a bunch of them, but Varangian gods are in queue as well, or now singular god. He's opted for a few more horsemen, because horsemen, they also do pretty well against the yeomen. But look at those Hobolars, they are ready to go find some damage.
You know the definition of insanity, right? Mm-hmm. The same thing again and again.
This time it's different.
This time it's different. This time it's different.
Yes.
Well, this time he's going around from the back. So.
Exactly. And only Hobolars, so no more archers ready to be sacrificed. He's only sacrificing the Hobolars. But the horse is now on the side of VortiX's map as well. So he does need to be careful here. And he doesn't really know that this is coming. We can see his wood line not moving just yet, and there are some horses all around at the top from the bottom wood line as well. Wham being on every corner of the map. Villagers in a lot of danger.
I like the raids here from Wham. He needs to do that. That's what you got to do. Slow up the game, get yourself ahead. He's been on the defensive for so long that really even the idle time has been some damage dealt, technically. So getting some Vil kills back, it's got to feel good. But once again, Definition of Insanity rears its ugly head as VortiX trying once again to take that tower down. Villagers this time looks like they left. And now, at the same time though, Wham raiding behind this.
Now, with all these units just being spread around, you can see the raids are coming from every angle, but the Hobbelars, they don't actually fight the villagers. They're just running away. The villagers have their shivs out. They're ready to fight. But the villagers on the backside here, Wham is the one actually getting the kills that he needs, but he does sacrifice a few horses for this.
Man, everywhere, all at once. They are just all across the map, and this is what we say when we talk about it being an aggressive meta, a knight meta. This is what we talk about. Just cavalry raiding each other's bases while skirmishes happen in the middle. These Lords of Lancaster finally getting that tower down, but the villagers had long since left. So Wham had, I think, he just eaten enough of the deer. He felt like he could just back off of that position. And besides, he's raiding behind this. More villagers going down. Another one. And now it's 5-1 Vil kills. Wham is starting to edge a little bit of a lead as far as economy goes.
Now, economy might feel that way, but we have to keep in mind, House of Lancaster with 3 manors, he does have a little bit of a bonus there. Could we click on that manor and see the income that that bad boy is bringing us per minute? So we do see 64 and another 36. That is almost, yeah, that's a lot of resources. We're getting there to 3 villages.
That is a lot. Wow. Another tower coming up. So, and this is something that Macedonians and Byzantines are really good at with those towers, especially when you can get those mangonel towers later. But in the meantime, a big fight in the middle here. Lots of infantry, lots of cavalry duking it out. Archers behind this exchanging blows. VortiX has a huge ranged mass. 28 of those big boys in the back launching their arrows, doing devastating results. This is a tough spot for Wham to hold.
And Wham is trying to hold it. You can see with all those yeomen, they are target firing every single thing they can. But it looks like the Hobbelars will push forward. Only 2 of them, though. The Kings will be the front line here. Horses getting on top of them, though. He needs to be careful. There's a lot of spears in this mix, too. But he feels pretty confident about going in on this. The archer numbers are not there to focus fire the spears. But the Kings are falling like flies. Only 1 now left. And it does feel like Wham is pushing this back a little bit, but at the same time, those spears just don't have an answer just yet.
Taking down the Lords is actually really huge here. Again, the problem is those archers are still there. And as long as a couple of these spears survive, but I'm thinking that the Varangian guards are pulling through here. There's 10 of those on the field, and they're the ones who are dealing the damage. The archers don't actually do that much to these guys. You see, they're only about maybe 2 or 3 tapping these guys. And with the front line all but non-existent, if Wham turns and takes us around, he could do some serious damage.
Him getting rid of the Radari as well, it is a big loss here. Now, those yeoman numbers are going to be the decider. As we can see, the Varangian guards all falling 1 by 1. And the food income is the big question now. Because the deer, it's starting to get a little barren. We do see that VortiX is also out here on the berries. And some idle villagers out here on a handful of farms. This is telling us we might be in Feudal for a little while longer for poor little Wham. But VortiX, he's thinking about building something against Wham that we just call... he's going to make some Whams himself. He's going to wham.
Wham. We got siege engineering coming in, so the first rams are underway. He has said, I've had enough of this in your silly towers. I'm going to ram them down if it kills me. And it might, but we'll find out. Meanwhile, Wham, though, his food situation has been kind of dire. We can see he's down to 300 food a minute towards VortiX. He's getting some farms in now, though, which, again, I just want to point out, feels really weird to look at with a Byzantines variant having just normal farms. Still feels funny, but alas, I digress. He needs the farms regardless. He needs the food. The berry is almost depleted, and in come the Rams, in come the archers with the Lord of Lancaster behind them. The tower still doing good damage. This is a new tower, not the same one. But these Rams should be able to make quick work of it if they can connect.
Now, the Rams are getting targeted by the front line, though. Those poor Rams are just getting deleted. And the Kings now, they are the front line. The Radari champion is back, and he takes quite a few shots, so definitely a worthy investment, especially here in Feudal. The villagers, though, they're of the spicy variety, quickly taking care of the horsemen that try to raid them. One ram still alive, but the Varangian gods are all focused on that ram, and it takes away the attention from that backline that they need to take care of.
All the while, those 5 villagers inside that are just shooting arrows off at the spears, trying to pick them off one by one. That ram finally gets at least one hit in. That's 400 resources to get one shot of the ram on a tower. It feels a little rough, but it did buy time. And they were great punching bags for a while as Wham threw his military at that. And the range mass is still alive for VortiX. However, Horsemen trying to catch up onto it now. But thankfully for VortiX, he's got Lord of Lancaster and a couple of spears still alive. And they're going to double down. Again, definition of insanity. If it doesn't work once, it better work twice. If it doesn't work twice, maybe it'll work thrice. And after that, I don't think it rhymes. So there you have it.
So the poor rams will be sacrificed yet again, but Macedonian dynasty, a civ that loves just making remaking units. As the more die, the more come back for free. So Wham now getting another 2 rams right at his base, ready to just destroy this tower. But will it be any different? That Radari champion taking a good shot here from the yeoman, but they do need to be careful to overextend here. That's a lot of horses they can get on top, and the spear numbers aren't as healthy as we saw them before. We saw how these Varangian gods are doing work. The rams, though, they're doing the real work. Villagers struggling to repair it. And finally, will the tower...
No, it won't. It stays up somehow. It is VortiX against the impossible tower. How is this thing still above water? Oh my goodness, it somehow is still up. Can he repair it in time, or is it going to burn? He keeps it up. Wow. Oh my goodness. Meanwhile, the front lines are dwindling, and the archer mass still survives for VortiX, but a lot of them looking pretty weak. This game has kept going. This is like watching a wave crash into the rocks time and time again, trying to grind it down into sand, but just not able to do it in a quick enough manner.
Well, with 3 manners, he's tried to find a way to tripling down yet again, getting 2 more rams built here. He knows that Wham is struggling for food, but you know, he's struggling for food a little bit, but he knows I'm House of Lancaster. I got this. I have passive food. I'm perfectly set up already. So now a 3rd ram being added, and 3 is that magic number, Sockerton. 3 is the number you're looking for. Yes, 3 rams. Because with 3 rams, you can actually kill stuff. And this is exactly what VortiX read in a guide somewhere. At some point, he's like, okay, maybe the guide was right. We are doing it with the right amount of rams. And more yeomen are made. We can now see with the lords, he's just replenishing those. They have been the best frontline a man could wish for.
I mean, this is if they connect. 3 will do it if they connect. That's not a guarantee here. If they can all land their shots, that tower will melt. But we'll see. They're being left lead the charge and immediately get met by the front line of Wham. 1 ram half health, another one a little bit down, but they're gonna try and get onto it. 1 ram almost goes down, gets a landing hit, and backs away, and that one's gonna turn into confetti here in a second. There it goes.
Now the problem is this. These rams are absorbing shots, but you have to keep in mind, this is not about just getting the shots. He doesn't just want to get this tower down. This is good for Wham in the sense that he is getting a long feudal. And you guys, you know exactly what Macedonians will do with a long feudal. We see him already getting those 2nd tier upgrades here. And VortiX is going to struggle being able to snipe them down at this rate. But he knows this, and he stops trying to invest in rams.
I was going to say he should go for 4 rams this time, you know? If 3 won't do it, surely 4 will do it.
We gotta get to the end point at some point, boys. But he's gonna go for that age up, and I'm pretty interested to see where he puts that down, because he needs to secure gold for himself. At this point, this feudal age has been the longest feudal age of my life, but he gets it right in the middle of the map, on the wood line, for pretty safe wood and very nice control of that sacred site.
Yeah, sure enough, the White Tower in a nice little spot. I like how forward it is, and it's close to, again, close to that sacred site. Feels pretty good too. Finally, we get a break. The feudal age will end. Wham, though, he's still a couple minutes away. He's still investing in resources. I wonder if this is going to catch him by surprise. I mean, VortiX has been relentless so far, and only now making a change of pace, kind of pivoting off of what he's been doing.
We can see Wham trying to suck up every bit of food he can on this map. He's got a handful of farms, but VortiX, he's the one moving out on the map. He's the one getting control out here. The thing is, he's on 350 food per minute. It feels pretty tough. Could we take a quick look at that English base? Oh, never mind. We want to take a look at these yeomen just firing at these horses. But they do have that extra bit of HP between all of this. So they will survive a bit longer.
Farms now coming in for VortiX. Both players getting up for a late game here now, adding some farms. No walls though, no wham walls, only a one small one there in the corner. So Dry Arabia, nice and open for the taking. Lots of exposed villagers everywhere. Man, some raids could go a long way here.
And it's pretty surprising to see that VortiX hasn't thought of that himself. He has been out here trying to do a little bit of damage to some cheeky villagers, but it just hasn't felt just right. Oh, but the Golden Horn Towers are going to secure all of these farms, and that is so critical. Just like that, he now gets a safe farming economy that VortiX cannot do a thing about. But he goes back to that tower.
Too. That tower is a beefy. Like, I don't have it in my mind, my psyche to think that that's a dangerous landmark like a white tower, but it really is. But archers laying waste to those villagers on the landmark. Wham, though, has his front line trying to push them back. Did lose a couple doing that, but now backlines firing on backlines. A lot of those archers are still pretty dang weak. A lot of low health ones. If he could just, man, like imagine a Manganjanique shot just spraying on those. They'd be all dead in an instant. But as it is right now, the Lords of Lancaster are the big meat shields for the moment. And the archers for VortiX, he'll still get some pot shots off. That's going to force Wham back.
Wham is depleting another food source, as we can see, 1,300 food per minute, but his farming eco looks pretty good. This is not the worst position for Wham to be in. He's got the upgrades. He's now getting some free crossbows in there as well. And this is pretty decent, but the problem is he's not making anything else. What is Wham doing? Oh, never mind. He was just waiting for a little bit of resources for some upgrades. So here we go. We get ourselves some horses as well. Radari have joined the party, and this is going to start getting a lot harder for VortiX to do real damage to them.
Well, VortiX is deciding to go for some rams again. Not 4 this time, but 5. 5 rams. Surely that will do it, he says this time.
And it's pretty wild to me that he's still going for exactly the same spot every time. But Wham, at this point, he's looking for damage. He's been seeing those raids, learning from it, and trying to find damage himself. He does get another villager kill here, but the horses do take quite a bit of damage with that +2 attack. The rams, though, they're looking pretty powerful here.
It looks like a pretty dangerous mass. I mean, I guess maybe 5 is the critical mass of rams. As we see there, immediately that tower melted, finally goes down. I'm sure VortiX is feeling very good about that. You know, sometimes it's interesting how lower level players do this all the time. And even I do this all the time. I'm sure you do this from time to time, where you kind of tunnel vision in on one spot a little bit in a game. You just, everything's in the middle of the map, or this one angle you keep attacking again and again and again and again. Sometimes it can be kind of hard. And I guess even at this level, sometimes we see players kind of tunnel vision in on one spot. What Wham's doing here is actually really smart. Trying to broaden the map up, trying to go in different angles, trying and poke and prod, but in the end, there's still this big fight happening right in the middle of the base.
Well, these yeomen are going to hit quite hard, but these rams are not going to be the answer you need to that pseudo white tower. That Golden Horn Tower shoots crossbow shots. It does not take much damage. Yeah. It is so much better. And the thing is, he keeps attacking this, and the question is just, what is he going to damage? Does he believe that these rams are the answer to that building? Or is he actually trying to do some eco damage? Because right now, it just doesn't feel like he's going straight for eco damage.
I mean, taking down the farms would be some wood wasted away for Wham. But yeah, it feels like they're kind of lumbering around, not doing as much as maybe you'd like them to do. Yeah, that Golden Horn Tower, it's hard for me to conceptualize again that it's actually as dangerous as it is, because we're so used to having Byzantines where it doesn't do anything, right? I mean, it just kind of stands there. Obviously, it helps your opponent. It makes them more mercenaries, but this one, when it's shooting out those crossbow shots, it is dangerous.
Now it does look like he's going for the eco for once, but the Radari are in position, and those Radari are barely taking any damage from all of these yeomen. They are getting tickled right now. The King's falling pretty quickly here. The Spearman numbers not as high as you need them to be to deal with this heavy front mass. We don't see any target firing from the yeomen either. Just A moving, and now a handful focus on the archers in the back line.
This feels like an overextension here from VortiX. Doesn't have enough of a front line to deal with this. The Rams, that's 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 1,000 wood down the drain in an instant.
And those could have been the best farms a woman could ask for. Just imagine all of those around the White Tower to ensure that you can make more spears and more horses to actually answer to this. But VortiX says, this is what I wanted. I wanted to commit to this. The rams were a way to keep him under control. But you can see the villager kills. It's not showing us the story of the eco that we see in front of us here. And I'm honestly a little bit surprised to see that.
At this point, not having a front line becomes the problem. Wham has been waiting to surround these archers entirely with his horses for some time, and it looks like he's getting close to that point. The front line just dwindling for VortiX. He's trying to reinforce it as he kites back, but looking a little rough. This game has been pretty grindy for both sides, but look at the numbers, 15 to 14 villager kills. Things are pretty neck and neck right now.
Now we do see a little bit of a movement still from VortiX forward. He says it's going to work. Radari, though, they are looking for actual damage. Wham realizes, and he's been finding it constantly. Every now and then, just getting a pick off, while we see VortiX just running straight into the front of the base every single time and not finding the vills that he needs.
More raids happening here. This is what Wham does really good, and this is what will differentiate him. And if he wins a series, this will be the difference maker, I think, is going out of his way to find more vills, to poke and prod outside of the main fight. But at the same time, of course, VortiX is moving in a little bit as well on the other side of the map, looking to push in. But I like that Wham is not just raiding in one spot, he's raiding in multiple. We're seeing, look at all this idle time caused. Villagers upon villagers running for the hills. This is such good gamesmanship from Wham to do this.
Wham is getting every bit of damage that he needs here. The villager idle time is massive. Now going to be running into a bunch more villagers here. And even if he doesn't get the kill, again, these are huge parts of idle time. And you could see they had to run pretty far. There's no safe tower for anyone to run in. It's just a bunch of idle villagers. Even if it doesn't show up, you can see that in the resources per minute. VortiX at 600 food per minute, while Wham is floating very happily on much higher numbers.
Yeah, 23 to 14 now. Idling a little bit there on the gold, but that's not a huge issue. The number's now 79 to 60, so I think there might have been a little bit of idle time from VortiX as well on the TC. Wham now up about 20 villagers, looking really good, and that's enough of a difference in villager count that could win you a game.
And it feels like we watched this a little bit earlier as well. VortiX idled out his TC in one of the previous matches as well. So I'm wondering if this is just because Wham is constantly raiding, or if he's actively making this choice to just invest in the military for that attack to hit just right. But VortiX has so much wood here. He needs to do something with this. Or he had. Now all of a sudden he has absolutely nothing, and the Radari are still raiding. Wham just not letting down. He is constantly raiding. The purple dots are everywhere, and the next Radari mass knows exactly where all the food is.
This is where the lack of walls really comes into play, right? Wham, the moment he's done raiding, he just comes right back again. You know, drive you over with my car, and I'm going to back up too. He just keeps coming through, doing it again and again and again. It's going to force VortiX to respond somehow, and if he doesn't, he'll just die from it. So Wham, just keeping up the pressure, and now the two armies kind of marching back and forth in the middle of the fight here, looking to maybe take a fight, and they might. VortiX doesn't want really anything of it, goes towards the White Tower, and Wham, of course, doesn't want to fight under there, so backs away as well. But again, like that mass, if that mass disappears, it gets difficult to replace it when you're under duress in your base as well.
Now, VortiX, you would have imagined that after the first 20 horses may have gone to his base to raid, he would invest in a wall or two. But the man says, I am not Wham, I'm not walling. I know exactly where the strength lies, and it's in raiding. I will do it myself. But the problem is just when your opponent is this crazy of a raider, there's not much you can do. The purple blob is looking for a connect, and at the same time, Wham is on top of every single side here. That farming eco looks so juicy to get on top of.
That White Tower is not much help out here either. Without any walls to funnel the troops in that way, he can take an open fight and just ignore the White Tower directly. I mean, why take a fight there when you can just literally go right around it? And that's kind of what Wham's angling to do here. Just kind of posturing back there. Meanwhile, again, just continuing to slip some knights behind. And now, yeah, as our observer, shout out to Vodka, is pointing out 28 gold in the bank and nothing coming in. He just now got onto an 8k gold up in the corner. He's going to hope that Wham doesn't see it.
And the amount of Radari here strikes fear into the heart of anyone. And that White Tower, for once, Yeah, I feel like this White Tower is going to look like it's made of paper. It does look like that Wololo will just be an ode to the skies, as now Wham is reminded, oh yes, relics do exist in this game, and I possibly could go for those. VortiX instantly cancelling the wall as he realizes this goes against everything he believes in.
White Tower not looking like it's able to put much of a fight against all the Radari. Fair enough, catches fire and will be down in just seconds. I mean, I was saying he could go around it, but I guess he can just go through it too when you got that many Radari.
And I wonder if this game could have been any different if VortiX did not lose as many units as he did to that one singular tower holding this whole game in its hands. But Wham now, he is looking for some blood. He doesn't know about this gold just yet, but the army is split up. White Tower just now completely obliterated. It does look like Wham is going north. Oh, never mind. He turned her back around. Lucky, lucky boy. Oh, never mind.
He's gonna find him. And he found him. Oh, that is gonna be game. There's no coming back from that. You needed the gold, and now you've lost. I mean, what is that? 12 villagers right there. He's gonna get this full surround. Can he save them, though? Trying to get some saving help, but I think it's gonna be too late. Too many villagers going down. This is catastrophic. Losing a whole bunch. Now it's 37 to 14 vill kills and 90 to 56 in the numbers. Wham just pulling so far ahead economically.
And Wham finally feeling confident enough to move out with just a bunch of Bogmajir and crossbows to end that farming eco here at the back. He's got the handful to handle this, and all the farms being completely exposed. The Wham now, though, he's playing very safe here with the army on the side of his base as well. And I see the army count is completely even. We know, of course, Radari, they do have a little bit more value in all of this. So Wham makes a decision. He pushes forward because, again, VortiX is pulled to the landmark. It's like it's a magnet. He's like, I need to fight into landmark. I need to go into TC. Arrow fire must stop.
He's definitely going to dive into Radari standing right there. They don't want to dive into the spears and a choke point, which is probably a good call, but able to chuck their stuff at him anyways. And synchronized shot coming in. Oh my gosh, I'd forgotten all about that ability. Didn't seem to do too much though. These Radari it's just paper cuts to them really. And now with kind of a pincer maneuver happening, Wham kind of boxing in this military, cutting him off from reinforcements. There's nowhere else to run. This is going to be it. VortiX stands and dies alone right here, right now. Wham surrounds, taking out the units, and there's no hope. That will end it. That will end the series. And Wham will take the win 3-1.
And Wham looking pretty solid here. Now, Wham, he's looking feisty. I'm excited to see where Wham goes from this. But this does mean he goes into the semis with his arch nemesis, I would say, as Beastie has not lost the series to Wham in a very long time. So Wham, he's got a day to prepare for this. And he has a lot of preparation to do. But after destroying VortiX the way he did, I'm feeling pretty excited about seeing that game tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be that'll be one of the better series tomorrow. I mean, we got a lot of good ones on the docket, but that one's going to be one to definitely put a pin on and take a look at later. Man, the amount of rams that VortiX made. Oh, so crazy. But we've got Wham in for an interview here in just a second, and we'll congratulate him and see his thoughts on the games. Well, congratulations, Wham, on a really well-played series. What did you think of all the rams there from VortiX?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Oh man, I was surprised he was playing this aggressive. I was happy that he was running into my emplacements and stuff, but at the same time, like, if he didn't do that, I feel like I probably would have died, to be honest.
Yeah, I felt like he had a lot of momentum there going in. I mean, obviously, Lancaster's a really, really powerful civ, hard to deal with. But hey, he kept making rams, he kept defending. It was a good game. Take me through the Malians game and towards the beginning there. Felt like you kind of delayed your cow boom. What was your thought process going into that game against the Ubids?
I wanted to be super aggressive against him, but I soon realized that, you know, a few walls and I really couldn't attack his back, like his villagers at the back. So that was the purpose, was to play super, super aggressive. And I did kind of keep him off his gold for a little bit. But honestly, another game there where I think I played fine, but like my strategy at the start, not going Caliboom, I think, did put me in a precarious situation. Like in the mid game here, you can see it was kind of very messy. Like
it was a fun one to watch too, but you pulled it through and were able to win that one, which was it was an impressive hold, impressive stand. Those Manjaniques were so good. How did you feel you played this series just overall?
I think I played okay. I wouldn't say I played like the best I've ever could play, but I didn't panic when I was in bad situations, and it's very easy to panic in bad situations, like the Malian game and the House of Lancaster game. Mm-hmm. So I played okay, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel moving forward then? You got Beastie on the docket. That's not going to be an easy series by any length. How are you feeling? I mean, obviously, Whammy wasn't too sure how you do against VortiX today, but you've come out looking really strong. How do you think you'll do tomorrow?
Well, I normally do pretty decent versus VortiX, I think. Like, at least 50%. Versus Beastie, I seem to struggle a little bit more. I mean, obviously I can win any series. Like, not that, you know, I'm favored every single time, but I can definitely win. So I'm feeling okay. As long as I play, you know, my best, I think I can win for sure.
Yeah. Well, you looked really good today, and you had a couple of really good games. Wasn't quite a 3-0, but I think I'd take a 3-1 any day. It was really impressive stuff, and you've been playing really well so far. Congratulations again on the win. We won't keep too much of your time, so we'll let you go. But again, congrats on a really well-fought series.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.